Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome indeed to the second ever NGK Sparkplug Esports Championship live here in Munich. My name is Paul Jeffrey, and alongside me, I'm joined by the man, the myth, and the legend. It is Der Esports driver and reigning ADAC GT Teams Champion, Leonard Kribner. How are you, sir?
Thank you for the warm welcome, Paul. Probably the most excitement anybody has ever announced my name with. Yeah, I'm doing great. I hope you're doing really well too. And I can't wait for what's waiting for us. It's a 60-minute race on the Nürburgring Nordschleife, the final of the NGK Esports Cup. The most beautiful, the most difficult track in the world, the green hell. Everybody knows it. Everyone loves it. And yeah, I'm delighted. I can't wait.
Yeah, we've got a great day of action ahead of us. But of course, a big challenge comes with some big prizes. So if you would be very kind as to bring that bit of board up there while I introduce from NGK himself, Andreas May. Andreas, welcome, and can you tell us all about these great prizes?
Thank you very much for the great welcome. Yeah, the first prize are 2 VIP tickets for the 24-hour race at the Nürburgring, also including access to the lounge. And yeah, also the second and third prize are here. So we have the Fanatec Club Sport Wheel Formula 2.5. And the third place is the JBL Quantum headset. And for the 4th to 10th place, we also have a nice goodie bag that you will get. So everybody from the 1st to the 10th place will get something. So I'm very excited, and I'm very looking forward to a great race at the Nürburgring Nordschleife.
Incredible stuff. So are we. But before we get any further, I'll come back to you, Leo and Andrea, shortly. But let's have a very, very quick look at what happened last time out at the Hungaroring for round 4.
We're just about to get ourselves racing here at the Hungaroring. The last chance qualifier here in the NGK Sparkplugs Esports Cup is about to get itself underway. Julian Kunze from pole position brings us to the green flag. We're racing down towards turn number 1 here. It was a poor start by Leonard Carter, which allows the run from the Porsche, potentially around the outside, in towards turn number 1 here. Philip Pau going the long way around here on cold tyres can be very, very sketchy indeed. He's able to hang it out there. Tries to follow through in the tyre tracks of your race leader and pole position sitter, Julian Kunze. Kunze forced to actually go defensive in towards turn number 2 here as Carter decides to go on the charge. We've got ourselves a little bit of an incident towards the very back of the field. Multiple drivers involved in this one. Meanwhile, battle for reverse grid pole position is on. Luca Vertrick has been caught, and now Farkas is looking to try and go around the outside at the penultimate corner. Does he have the inside? Well, he's going to try and dive in on it anyway, in towards the final corner. Farkas really wanting desperately to gain that reverse grid pole position. 30 seconds on the clock as they head their way across the line now. Vertrick defensive in towards turn 1. The Porsche launching it around the outside once again. As Sebastian Ree sticks his nose in, it gets cut off as he has problems on the inside there. As the battle for the reverse grid pole position continues on, as Farkas, oh, he's got himself the line around the outside, and it's a spin. It's a spin for Vertrick, and it's a spin for Farkas as well. Oh, from hero to zero for Farkas there. He got himself reverse grid pole, and then he bent it himself coming off the corner. That is absolutely tragic there. Final corner now. Another big wide arc taken by the Mercedes, but it's not going to matter in the end. Julian Kunze heads his way across the line to take the first race win here at the Hungaroring in the NGK Sparkplugs Esports Cup. One step closer to a slot in the final for Julian Kunze. So Marcel Hurlock on pole position then. Rokas to be on the second row, starting P3. Christian Orban, second place. Of course, Kunze and Carton starting P10 and P9 respectively. The final qualification round's underway. Someone's had a nightmare at the very back of the grids there. That's Craig Curtis completely dumping it into the wall as we charge down towards turn number 1. Holok on the early challenge here as he barred his doors with Daniel Parvan as Holok has completely made a mess out of turn number 1. Opens up the inside. Someone's in the wall. This is going to cause a bunch of carnage towards the very back of the field. What a mess back there. Mikael Lapanek, Vertrix in it. Holok's in it. Oh, that could have been gone. That could have been handled so much better, folks. Still chances for Kunze to try and make this one work. We're right on board with him on the run up in towards turn 4. He's been having the habit of a bit of a look through turn 5 as well. It requires such a huge commitment to try and make this one work. He's going to get squeezed out a little bit there. Not going to be too appreciative of that. Parvan still leads in towards the chicane. Parvan still leads coming off the chicane, but there was a little bit of a bobble, and there's the attempt from Kunze that has gone all wrong as he spins out in towards the tyre barriers and files down in towards P8 there. Parvan does have a little bit of damage, but thankfully for him it is the final lap, so not all that much can Filipao can do about it. But after a frantic finish, it is Daniel Parvan that comes across the line to take the race win after taking the race lead early on lap number 1 of this event. Parvan takes the win. Filipao in second place, and Christian Orban will round out the top 3.
Some exceptional and dramatic racing, I am sure you will agree. And we've got plenty more still to go in this final round. Let's have a quick look at the timetable of what to expect over the course of this broadcast. We'll be starting qualifying very shortly indeed, where our drivers set their time for a standing start on the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and then we'll be heading straight into the main event, a 60-minute race. Winner takes all. And at the checkered flag, we'll have crowned our champions. And Leo, it's such a unique proposition, the Nordschleife, such a difficult race. What are these drivers going to be expecting over the course of the next 60 minutes of racing?
Definitely a lot of sweat. It's going to be exhausting, I can tell you that from own experience. The Nordschleife is always something exceptional, something extraordinary in that kind of regard. Personally, I think a lot of drivers will know what's on the line now with qualifying, because we have no Grand Prix track on this version of the Nordschleife, so overtaking, even though the track is over 20 kilometers long, it's going to be a tough challenge. You only have 1 or 2 spots where it's really possible. So you will, if you want to have a chance at the big prizes, you really want to be at the front of the grid right from the get-go.
Yeah, absolutely. And Andreas, we say it's a difficult challenge, but the drivers are up to it. They've been great this season. How has the racing and the racecraft been from your perspective?
Yeah, very great. So I also watched every race. So every race was very interesting. Also some moves and some crashes. And I also have some numbers for you. So we have 3,000 drivers on the leaderboard.
Wow.
We have 18,000 leaderboard accesses, and we have 300,000 rounds that we driven on the leaderboard. So very, very good reputation, I would say. And we have people from 92 countries that are just on
Off the globe,
participating at the NGK Sparkplug Esports Cup. So very good numbers, I need to say. So looking forward also to a great race today, to a great final.
Yeah, that's some sensational figures. And of course, there can only ever be one winner in a competition like this. In 2022, we had a great season and a great final, and our championship winner had a wonderful experience. So let's have a quick look at what he got up to when he took his prize for the victory in the 2022 championship.
Here we go then, for the final time down the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Does Latowski have the legs to get himself towards the end of this race? You can see the weaving already from Attila Dini. He's trying to break the slipstream. Now side by side for the championship win. Dina has held on to it. Dina has held on. Can he hold on for the final corner as well? Just one more corner to go. Latowski looks for it. Yinshan wasn't open. And a mega defense from Attila Dinya. Dinya takes the race win. He is the NGK Sparkplugs Esports Cup champion.
Ja, wir sind jetzt hier in der SX Lounge am Nürburgring und begrüßen hier Attila Dina, unseren Esports Cup Gewinner vom NGK Sparkplug. Und ja, stell dich mal kurz vor, Attila.
Ja genau, ich bin Attila Dina, bin 18 Jahre alt mittlerweile. Ja, und fahre hobbymäßig Simracing, meistens RaceRoom, zwischendurch auch nochmal was anderes.
Und das sehr erfolgreich, muss ich sagen, weil du hast ja unseren Cup gewonnen. Erzähl mal so ein bisschen den Weg dahin, wie es so für dich war, wie so deine Strategie war.
Die Strategie war eigentlich relativ simpel, mich im ersten Rennen zu qualifizieren fürs Finale. Es hat auch zum Glück funktioniert. Und im Finale war dann halt die Strategie, ja, guck, dass du hinter dem ersten Platz bleibst. Ich habe mein Setup so gebaut, dass ich halt schön viel Topspeed auf der Döttinger Höhe habe. Und ja, es hat im Prinzip so funktioniert, wie es geplant war. Ja. Und ich habe um Haaresbreite noch den Sieg behalten.
Ja, ich muss auch sagen, das war super, super spannend, das auch mitzuverfolgen. Ich war ja live im Studio in München und euch beide da zu sehen im Kampf um den ersten Platz, das war echt ein Highlight. Erzähl mal so ein bisschen, wie du überhaupt zum Simracing gekommen bist.
Ja, es hat eigentlich schon im Kindesalter angefangen mit einer großen Interesse für Autos und ist dann irgendwann, ja, bin ich halt da, habe ich vom Simracing erfahren und dachte mir, hey, das probierst du auch mal aus. Das war Anfang 2017. Ja. Und bin dann die erste Zeit eigentlich nur zum Spaß gefahren, halt einfach ein bisschen Spaß haben mit Autos. Und bin dann Anfang 2019 in den kompetitiven Bereich eingestiegen und bin da bisher auch geblieben.
Und ich sehe auch schon hier an deinem Pullover, wir haben die beste Finalstrecke gewählt für dich auch, weil du auch ein großer Fan bist vom Nürburgring, nehme ich an.
Ja, definitiv. Definitiv meine Lieblingsstrecke, vor allem die Nordschleife. Die Grand Prix-Strecke bin ich jetzt nicht so ein großer Fan von, aber die Nordschleife macht es einfach wieder wett.
Wie ist jetzt so dein Resümee vom Tag? Hat es dir gefallen? Hat es dir Spaß gemacht?
Ja, definitiv. Immer wieder schön hier zu sein. Danke für die Competition, danke für die Tickets. Ja, ja, hat riesen Spaß gemacht.
Ja, da bleibt es mir noch übrig, dir viel Spaß zu wünschen am Nürburgring beim 24-Stunden-Rennen. Ich hoffe, du hast hier eine richtig coole Zeit und kannst es genießen und würde mich freuen, wenn du im nächsten Esports Cup auch wieder dabei bist.
Ja, vielen Dank. Würde mich freuen auf den nächsten Cup.
A very impressive young man. But of course, a new year ushers in a new cohort of drivers. So let's have a quick look at who will be on the grid for this final here in 2023. And Leo, you're an expert in the world of RaceRoom racing experience. One or two names that stand out there to you today?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of talent that's been here before last year. Julian, Kunze, Leonard Garten, Sinan, Gunay. Those are also people who've previously been present in RaceRoom Esports, and they're looking forward to grabbing that first championship, to moving into upper echelon of competition in RaceRoom. So a lot of young guns. Julian Kunze, one of the veterans, really. He's been here for years. So kind of an interesting dynamic also in that regard. So plenty of excitement ready for us, really.
Yeah, a lot of talented drivers. They've all gone through a qualification process to get to this stage, so they're experienced, they've earned their place on the grid. And now, it's often accused of the Nürburgring Nordschleife of being a great circuit, fantastic to hot lap around, but maybe not the best for racing. I think our final from 2022, the final 2 minutes, disproved that one significantly. Let's have a look at the drama that unfolded in the grand finale in 2022.
One of the best defensive drives I've ever seen in my sim racing career if Dina is able to hold on to this. It's not going to be impossible by any means, but it requires something absolutely special, and it may even require a mistake from Latowski as well.
Now I'm starting thinking, how can you really defend Latowski? I think for when there's really a move for Hungaroring, then think what happens first. You have this little left king, it doesn't matter. You have this right corner where you can really try to sneak to the inside. Then you have this right and left, so you want to stay on the left side. So is it really the move that you push your opponent Antonius Bucher to the outside, or is it now for the last lap the way that you let him sneak into the inside of Antonius Bucher and then get rid of him in the very last corner?
I'm trying to keep my heart rate down at this point. This is absolutely fantastic between these two. This is what we dreamed of coming towards the end of this event, to have this fight between these two for the championship win at this point. We covered it in the pre-show. The driver that wins this race wins the championship. They win that experience to go to the Nordschleife for the 2022 Nürburgring 24 Hours. And it's this is the top prize on the line. It's championship glory up for grabs here between Dina
very
and
defensive
Latowski.
lines from both drivers. Still, Dina didn't look too well from the small carousel. Now watch the understeer. That is the most important thing. Attila Dina had a good run to Schwalbenschwanz.
Here we go then, for the final time down the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Does Latowski have the legs to get himself towards the end of this race? You can see the weaving already from Attila Dina. He's trying to break the slipstream, but I think it's going to be in vain. Look at how close Latowski's getting at this point. He's got to go for glory. He's got to go for the race win and the championship win now. Which way does he go? Driver's right-hand side, coming towards the end of the race now, side by side for the championship win. Down the hill here at the Nordschleife, down into the SS section. Dina has held on to it. Dina has held on. Can he hold on for the final corner as well? Oh, Latowski's all over him, coming through this entire section. Just one more corner to go. Latowski looks for it. The inside wasn't open, and a mega defense from Attila Dina. Dina takes the race win. He is the NGK Sparkplugs Esports Cup champion in an incredible finish.
Gentlemen, to quote the late great Murray Walker, that was absolutely barnstorming in the final lap of the final race of 2022. And Leo, for our drivers going into this next race, you know all about what it's like to prepare for a big event. What are they going to be doing? What are they going to be going through now to prepare themselves for what should be a bonkers 60 minutes of racing?
Yeah, so I think everybody has these kind of routines, a kind of thing you go through before every important race, basically. So some have a last bit of food, have a drink or something. Some go to the toilet, like things people need to do at some point. Everybody has these own things to get into the focus, to really be concentrated for 60 minutes straight, and the Nordschleife is no joke. I think everyone who ever turned a lap on it knows that. So it's really important to get into that tunnel vision, really.
Yeah, and Andreas, of course, you're maybe not quite as experienced of a sim racer as Leo here, but how fast are you in RaceRoom racing experience on this track in particular?
Yeah, I have good time, really. So 7 minutes. So on the Grand Prix. of course. So I need to say it's we have our own race rack in our office, and I tried it sometime, and I need to say it's very hard to stay on the track and get a time, and not just going from left to right and just finishing a race. It's or a track. It's very hard, and to have a look at the list for, I don't know, place 500 something, I just won't get there, because it's just so hard, so much trainings. You need to be focused very hard, and yeah, as you said, Leo, it's for me, it's just like going there and just asking myself, how is it possible to drink something? And but if you get used to it, I think it's could be easier. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the level is sensational of all these drivers. And as you say, the times, not just today, but also throughout the competition, have been so competitive. And I'm hearing, gentlemen, in my ear that qualification is well underway now. So I reckon it's time for the talking to stop and for the action on track to begin. So let's head over circuit side and see how our drivers are going on, setting their times ahead of the race that is happening in a few short moments' time. And here we go, Leo, already warming the tyres up. How critical is it to get the car warmed up on a lap this long before going for the time attack?
I think on this track, with the length of the outlap, it's especially important to not rub off the tires too much on the outlap. So it might be the case that tires are cooled down by now, so people are weaving on the Dettinger Höhe on the long back straight of the Nordschleife to get temperature back in, what we've just seen. And what we already can see behind Cody Nikola Latkowski, who's been fastest in the practice session, is that someone's trying to get into a slipstream. Obviously, great strategy if you're not on out, leaving a bit of a gap, but obviously slipstream might also be a factor on the Nordschleife with a lot of these straights and these fast corners.
We know GT3 cars don't punch the biggest holes through the air. It's often been remarked by drivers, in sim racing in particular, it's quite difficult to pick a draft up, and with so many corners, 154 corners at the Nordschleife, in reality, does it give you an advantage to get a draft off the car in front, or is it going to compromise you more through the turns than you're going to benefit from the straights?
I think on this layout of the Nordschleife will definitely give you an advantage in RaceRoom, particularly. So, but as we've seen, I think people are rather trying to get a bit of a gap with the guy in front. So, in case something goes wrong, which could be very likely on this track, as we've mentioned before many times, it's so difficult. People might end up in the wall or on the grass, and you don't want to be in the trajectory when people come back on the track.
And that's a very good point, because there is so little runoff. It's a very old school circuit, for want of a better way of putting it. A small mistake can lead to a very, very heavy contact, can't it, with the barriers? And as you rightly say, you're following somebody closely, you can very quickly get wrapped up in their accident. If you were in this race, what would be your strategy for qualification?
As we see, there's only 8.5 minutes left. So the thing is, you will only get one try at a flying lap. So you really want to make sure that flying lap is decent. Maybe not go all out, not go 100%. I've heard some real race drivers never go 100% on the Nordschleife anyways. But yeah, you want to leave a tiny bit of margin. So in case you make a mistake, you can still make it stick on the track. At least you don't throw away the complete lap in that case. So focus is really to get a solid anchor lap in. The one who risks most and doesn't throw it away, he might end up on pole.
So I suppose that kind of leads me, conversely, you're saying about getting a bank lap in, which is absolutely right, to set a representative time. How important is qualifying? It's a 60-minute race, it's a fairly long one. I'm going to look into my crystal ball, and I don't think I'm far wrong in saying this will be won by those who make the least mistakes, rather than maybe the outright quickest. How important, how critical is quali for a good result today? Because don't forget, top 3 where the big prizes are won.
Yeah, like obviously if you start at the front, there's not a lot of cars running in front of you, and that also means that in case something happens, you're not in the way of that. So if you're up front a lot, as we see already, someone standing on the left of the track, so mayhem starting already basically. Yeah, if you're up front in the grid, there's not a lot that can go wrong in front of you. So you've got nothing to avoid, nothing to go around, and that's a big part of the race, definitely. And also you need to keep in mind that there is no championship in place anymore. Who wins? The winner of this race is the winner of the championship, as we see Julian Kunze going down the hill, going up the hill towards Mutkurve. Yeah, you want to be at the front in this race because championship points don't matter anymore.
And just look, we saw the picture-in-picture there of Kunze. Look how calm he is behind the wheel, and that's the experience, isn't it? Experience as a racer on this platform around this circuit as well. It's all about conservation of movement, isn't it, rather than being on your tiptoes all the time.
Yeah, not too much unnecessary movement in the car. Keep it nice and steady, especially through this fast part of the circuit. German name Mutkurve means corner where you need a lot of bravery, and that's what it is. You almost go flat out, just a tight lift, maybe a shift down to fifth gear. So really, you need to keep your composure and keep the car on track there.
Yeah, it's a real test, isn't it, of skill, experience and also nerve for these drivers. And just while we're waiting for the times to start coming in and the provisional grid starting to form, I want to say a big hello to everybody out there on the internet watching on the RaceRoom YouTube channel, the NGK Spark Plug channel on YouTube and RaceRoom Facebook as well. It's great to have you with us. Feel free to drop any questions in on the chat, and Leo and I will do our best to answer them as we go through the course of this broadcast. I'm seeing a few of you hosting there already as well, so hello to everybody that has joined us for what should be a very exciting indeed 60 minutes of racing. But we're still waiting for the main names and times to come in. And are we expecting, Leo, any surprises in this qualifying? And by surprises I mean maybe those who don't anticipate being at the front being a little bit braver with their banker lap than some of the more established names.
Oh, that might be the case actually, but obviously at this point we don't know yet who's in that position, who's trying to follow that strategy. Practice times showed that especially Cody, Nicola Latkovsky and Leonard Carton were fastest on pace there, so the two of the guys to look out for now in the next couple of minutes. But obviously the grid is stacked. A lot of people can move up the grid here. So it's just about keeping it clean, getting that lap done. And as we see, first people coming down the back straight to Döttinger Höhe, and Cody Nicola Latkovsky is in the slipstream of another car.
Yeah, this is going to be critical for the lap time in the Porsche. One of the surprise choices, I think, for the front runners coming into this race based on what we've seen over the course of the championship so far.
Actually bump drafting Yuval Rosen, that is, I think. So both kind of gaining time through that, maybe even some teamwork coming in here, I could imagine.
It's interesting to see the willingness to take risk at this stage in the race by doing that sort of thing. It can pay off, but it can also backfire spectacularly if you get it wrong, can't it?
But I'm also really impressed that people are also working together here. So normally, being lone wolves on the racetrack, you find an ally basically to push each other in qualifying. This Cody Nicola puts up 30.8, which should be a decent first lap. But here, Julian Kunze, third place, over 2 seconds off. I think that time by Latkovsky is going to be really tough to beat.
And of course, we've still got 3 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. So if you start your time before the checkered flag falls, you can then go and complete that lap. So there's still...
Not on RaceRoom, actually. Time goes to 0, that's the thing here.
Oh, it's game over.
It's game over.
So that's actually interesting for strategy as well, isn't it? Do you get out of pit lane straight away, or do you buy yourself that bit of time so you're crossing the line at the right time? Which is all these things our drivers have to put through their mind while also delivering on what is basically a one-shot shot.
And who seems to have a really good shot is Leonard Carton, who had 2 really good first sectors as you ride on board with him through Schwalbenschwanz. Now it is a small carousel, people call it, coming up, going through the concrete banking, maybe even tucking into a tiny bit of slipstream of the car ahead, and now through Galgenkopf, really important to keep the momentum going, you go close to the inside curb here and get maximum speed for the back straight to Oettinger Höhe. And that might actually be slipstream territory for Leonard Carton, and definitely a time to watch now as he's moving towards the finish line.
Yeah, that is perfect timing to catch the AMG Mercedes ahead of him for Carton, so hopefully he'll stay out of the danger zone coming in to the next section of corners. But again, this is how much of that is planning, how much of that is luck of the draw to meet your rival at that point of the racetrack?
I'm not too sure. I mean, you know round about what kind of pace your opponents have, but at that point it's hard to calculate how far up his rear you will be going down to Oettinger Höhe, and that worked out perfectly for Carton. Lucas Wollering who moved aside kind of. Carton got past, going through the last corner, and now we'll see where he crosses the line. And it's second place.
31.470, so not quite enough to get on terms with Cody Nikolai Latovsky. Currently, our provisional pole sitter, Colin Blankenberg, is in third position at 32.677, exactly the same time as P4 at this moment in time. So it's close at the front of the field.
And how crazy is that? We have a 6.5 minute lap and people put in the exact same lap time. That's incredible racing here.
And that just shows that these drivers, regardless of the mark, the car that they're racing with, regardless of any of the outside factors, are getting the absolute most out of these cars, aren't they, in terms of lap time?
As Christian Orban, I think he won't be able to finish the lap. He's in the Landsgarten territory now, so the little jump here, dipping into double right-hander, but he's too far away from the finish line. I think he's also the last car on track, so we can call it a day for qualifying. As we see our results, Cody Nikolai Latovsky taking pole at the Nordschleife for the final.
Fantastic stuff, starting from the very best position possible, heading into the 60-minute race. And we've spoken already about how valuable is it for qualifying. It's valuable not to throw the car off the circuit and compromise your event before it even starts. But pole position's where you want to be. You want to be dictating the pace, don't you?
Exactly. Especially on this track, where you won't see a lot of overtakes. It's probably going to be the case of one big train flying through the track, and then towards the end of the race it's going to boil down.
Yeah, really good stuff. Andreas, qualifying, bit of a breathless affair. Plenty of drivers driving big laps there. Again, from your point of view, as somebody who's maybe not necessarily an experienced sim racer yourself, what kind of impression do you get from these drivers pushing these cars to the absolute limit, moments away from potential disaster?
Yeah. For me, it was just like also thinking about the strategy, what we see at Cody with the driving behind
Bump
and
draft, yeah.
bump draft. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, for Cody, yeah, I would say a little bit as expected that he is under the top 3, but now he's the leader. He will start on pole, but also from Leonard Carton and Julian Kunze, very performing quite well, and yeah, I'm really looking forward. And this close that they are at the timing for the qualifying, it seems to be a very great and very impressive race. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
You kind of touched on a really interesting point there, Andreas, about the bump drafting, and we spoke, didn't we, in the live about the potential to gain an advantage from slipstream. Pole position is the front of the track, clear track in front of you. Is that actually a disadvantage in this opening lap, because you're vulnerable then to the rest of the field slipstreaming and potentially putting you under pressure as the race goes green?
It might be actually, but I personally think also how we saw the race last year play out. It's going to be all about positioning yourself for that final lap, for the final 10 minutes of Nordschleife action. As we saw, it was a bit of a fight around who's going into the last lap first, who's second, and then you try to give it your all for that one try down the back straight, the Oettinger Höhe, going around the outside or the inside, whatever your opponent's giving you, and trying to stick it up there. That's the only real opportunity I see. If not, if Cody has the pace, he will be able to maybe get enough of a gap between himself and the other cars so he can run away with it. But I don't know how that will play out. How big of a difference there is between the pace of the drivers?
You're getting this commentator game easily. Stay on the fence. Don't know how it's going to play out, so it could go both ways, and you're never wrong. But Andreas, I want to ask you before, because we're not far away now from hitting the track for the race. Heading into this one from head office at NGK Sparkplug, what were you hoping for from this race? What are you looking for from this event? Is it just a case everybody putting on a good show, and how do you hope this one pans out over the next hour?
Yeah, I think, as I said, basically, as I'm responsible also for the EMEA region, we are basically looking that most of the regions and a lot of people from all the countries are participating. But as we said, coming to the final, it's the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and we are looking forward to have a really great race, and so many people participating, and also from many countries. And really looking forward to the race and to a great experience also. And as we have some changes to the first Esports Cup with some cars that you can choose in the lottery that we have, this is also a big advantage that we have this time for Esports Cup.
Well, we'll find out in a few moments' time as we're about to go racing. But before we do that one, just to remind you all, you can join us on YouTube, on RaceRoom Racing Experience YouTube channel. We're also on their Facebook channel and the NGK Sparkplug YouTube channel. Or you can join the conversation on social media. Hashtag Ignitethetrack to get involved in the discussions and all the news and the excitement that comes from this fabulous esport competition courtesy of NGK Sparkplug. And engines are revving already. The lights flashing on screen. We've got just under 1 minute to go before we start. Any last shouts? In fact, we are starting now, in fact. So there we go. The race is underway already, and that is a great start from fourth position for Kunze there, just about making his way through the field and making a couple of early places up. And this is immediately the opportunity, isn't it, Leo, for the drivers to get a quick advantage and find their way through some of the slower starter traffic, because standing starts are not what you normally get in a GT3 car, so it's a bit of a step into the unknown for these drivers.
Yeah, especially the Porsche 911 here, with all the weight on the rear axle. It's got a bit of an advantage at the start, standing start on RaceRoom, and as we saw, Yuval Rosen perfectly used that to his advantage going past Leonard Carton. But as you mentioned, Julian Kunze also with a perfect start, gaining 2 or 3 positions there, and as we can see, no sacrifices yet, no one died. Someone mentioned in chat, no one died, so pretty clean start, just what you want to see for this long of a race.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Great driving from all of the drivers on track to keep it nice and clean as we start. I'm glad everybody was a little bit sharper to when the lights were going to go green than I were in the box. Completely missed that one, but we got there in the end now, and we're looking back from our race leader. Currently in first position, converted that pole position into an early race lead, but as we spoke about in the pre-show, vulnerable now to the slipstream from the cars behind. And it's a little bit like NASCAR racing, isn't it? If you get offline, if you start to be overtaken on a suboptimal line, how tight this field is, it might be 1, 2, 3, 4 cars making their way past.
Yeah, you can't be caught sleeping here on the Nordschleife, especially with this level of driving. What just caught my eye is that Colin Blankenburg, who really put on a great performance in qualifying, someone who really surprised me with a 3rd position there, ended up in P6. He was the car kind of struggling off the line there, so that's probably the biggest loser for now, at least for the starting phase of the race now.
Yeah, a little bit of wheel spin off the line can be critical in these close competitions. We're looking there at Leonardo Carton now. 3rd position at this moment in time in the Audi. The Audi's proven to be a quick car over the course of this competition. It'll be interesting to see how that stacks up against the 2 race-leading Porsches ahead. And of course, Julian Kunze in the AMG Mercedes holding on to 4th position as well. So as you were coming through the first section of this beautiful Nürburgring Nordschleife lap, we're riding on board with the Audi of 5th position man at this moment in time. And where's the next opportunity, Leo, barring mistakes, to have a realistic shot at taking an overtake at this stage? No pressure for me to give you that one. Put you on the spot there for me to tell me.
Tiny bit, yeah. I really think the next, like from here on now, like you might be able to if you get a better run out of the back work, which was the last corner we went through the right-hander. With a bit of slipstream, you might go up the inside. Oh, as we can see, into work. A bit of fighting around the B21 region. Greivi against Linus Griese, there must be. And now going uphill, if you have a bit more momentum than the guy ahead, going into the slipstream, you might be able to go side by side into the fast left and into the mood over, which we saw before in qualifying.
Again, it's always, like we said, and I'm sure we're going to continue to say, it's about the bravery pillars. Again, too wide, but the AMG just doesn't quite have enough grunt off of the corner and has to drop back in behind the Audi.
Talking about brave, I think Griese put 2 wheels on the grass there. Kevin Estra-esque, it's Philip Greivi also going wide on the exit there. So, as we can see, people are giving it their all here.
Yeah, that's what we love to see. The cars are the heaviest, they're at the coolest at this moment in time as well. The tyres not quite up to temperature, the fuel's still going to get burnt off. Just 1 hour worth of racing in. I want to ask you a question, Leo, that I meant to ask you before we came on air, but it slipped my mind. An hour on one tank. That's going to be, for some of these drivers, a little bit tight, is it? Or are we quite comfortable?
From my memory, I think our race and RaceRoom normally it's these short, spicy sprint races. So this is definitely a longer one. I haven't done one myself in quite some time, but I think you should be able to make it without refueling. That also means that your tires stay on at the end until the end of the race, which normally in those short sprint races isn't too much of a problem, but I can imagine that especially towards the 40-minute, 50-minute mark, that tire wear also might become a factor. And Porsche always is a bit harsh on the rears because of the weight distribution with the car. As Georgiev goes really wide in YouTube corner there, touching the gravel on the outside. Yeah, so tire wear might really come into play at the end of the race for certain cars.
And I think it's doubly important, the tyre wear on this track as well, isn't it? Because on a quote-unquote traditional circuit, you lose grip, you lose a bit of lap time, you have to go defensive. On this track, you lose 5, 10, 15, 20% of your grip. Dangerous corners become wildly dangerous all of a sudden, and it's very, very easy to make a mistake, isn't it? So the drivers are really almost got to manage a living, breathing thing over the course of the race. It's not just about going quickly. It's almost rally-esque, because there we go, we see a very, very dangerous move. Gets the position taken just about, but that one, sir, is a little bit more luck than judgment, methinks.
Linus is definitely on a mission. He's taking no prisoners, he's giving it his all. You can see twice through the grass now, in the course of one single lap. That's something you will talk about later on, I'm sure.
He wants to have a goodie bag, I guess.
Yeah,
quite definitely. But as we can see, especially at the front now, you can see these gaps are slowly starting to grow, and especially behind Leonard Carton, Julian Kunze is already 1.6 seconds away, and that's out of the slipstream window. So the top three, Latkovsky, Rosen, Carton, they have this first kind of breakaway now.
Yeah, Latkovsky was under a little bit of pressure there from the slipstream, but luckily had just enough of an advantage of a Rosen behind. But again, that's that slipstream we've spoken about. If you're Latkovsky at the front of the field, you're going to be feeling that pressure quite heavily now, aren't you? And it's difficult, I would imagine, as a driver, not to start defending a little bit too hard or defending where it's not necessary. And the more you defend, the slower you go. The slower you go, the more of the field is snapping at your heels.
I think especially like these guys, there are no new people to sim racing. Latkovsky, Carton, Rosen, those are people who've been in the esports scene before now. So I'm sure all of them are aware that now is the best point in time to really build a gap with the guys further back. And that also means working together to some degree. So you yourself can have a chance at the win later on, not get others involved. You don't need those other 3-4 people getting involved fighting for the victory. So that's why I think all of them are deciding now is a good position to break away and just let the 3 of us get to work later on in the race.
Yeah, absolutely, all these tactics are go to mind. And Andreas is still with us actually, so I'll have a quick word and throw to you, Andreas, if I can. What are you thinking of the track action that we've seen so far? It's been rather exciting at the front of the field, hasn't it?
Totally, yeah. I'm very happy that there are no big crashes happening at the beginning. So this is something I was a little bit afraid of, that something could happen at the beginning. But yeah, also looking at the first Cody and Rosen and Bernard Karten, it's so close at the top. So yeah, it's very great race, very great race that we see here. So all the people that qualified are coming together, and then you see what happens on the racetrack. So best racers that we have and on the NGK Spa-Francorchamps are there, and it's a great race that we see, and they are also all close together, and it's also fun to watch. Yeah.
We see Mariusz Zabdyr going head to head with Steph Kramers. Steph Kramers was one of the drivers who qualified to the series through the point system. So we had the 4 qualifying rounds at Spa, at Aragon, at Dubai, and at the Hungaroring. Of each of the rounds, the top 4 drivers qualified immediately for the final, and then we had another 16 drivers joining them through a point system, like in your average racing or sim racing championship. So at the end of the day, we have 32 qualified racers. 30 of them made it on the server and are going to work, as we can see, as Kramers really gets close to Zabdyr's rear right now.
Yes, Zabdyr's under pressure at the moment. He's doing well to keep the car neat and tidy, but Kramer, he's got the body language of that AMG Mercedes at this moment in time suggests that he's very, very keen to make his move, get past the Audi and start closing the field in front. And it's such a long lap, so many corners, you can't really afford to drop too much time, because quickly you fall out of that lead train, don't you? And that's the problem that Steph's got at this moment in time. And that Audi is probably the widest Audi you're going to see in Germany at this moment in time. Is look how close they get in. Will they find an opportunity? All we can see is the rear splitter, and this is critical moments for these two drivers. One small mistake from the car ahead, and that is 2 cars off into the barrier. Kramers just shows his nose to the inside. Not really an opportunity. Uses the grass on corner exit as well as he tries to carry the speed into the next section of racetrack to get that momentum. But the Audi, a little bit neater, a little bit calmer, is just pulling away at the front of this pack. And Leo, while these two squabble, look who we've got behind. We've got the rest of the field closing in to make a 2-way fight very quickly into a 4-way battle.
Yeah, your George Gorgiev, who also has plenty of support in the chat, I can see, pulling up from behind. He's closing the gap. As we've mentioned, people are fighting, people are getting close. He actually just lost the position to Sebastian Rey, the commentator's curse, also present here. Yeah, as you can see, even though the Nordschleife is such a technical and tiny track, we still have a lot of movement, a lot of swaps of positions going on in the grid. And asking the chat guys, who are you supporting the most? Who is there a little fan club of Mr. Georgiev, or are there other people you're supporting? Let us know.
Yeah, it'd be great to hear from everybody in the chat, so please do let us know. As we're looking now, this is 15th position, so there's racing, there's little pockets of drivers all over the circuit, isn't there? They're squabbling for position, but it's almost like a high-speed game of chess, isn't it? It's not a tradition. I've said this before, but it really does bear repeating. It's not a traditional racetrack. You've got to pick your battles, and you've got to pick your moments, haven't you? And be confident in a move when you make it. Otherwise, hello barriers for you.
Yeah, and I think Colin Blancbour's car, as you can see at the front, yeah, right there, the hood is a bit squabbled up, you could say. I think he's had a bit of contact with the walls. Starting from 3rd position, that's definitely not the way he wanted the race to go. I think it's like he's in a really tough spot now, because after such an incident, the race is still long. There's still a lot of racing to do, and you can still work your way up the field with the pace he has shown until now. But mentally, after such a crash, or after like a short period of disappointment in a race, you really need to get back in there, get back into focus, as Lloyd struggles out of the small carousel, covers the inside line, and now they go on the back straight side by side, almost.
Blankenberg maybe carrying a little bit of damage, but it doesn't seem to be holding him up at this stage, as that Mercedes looks very mobile behind the back of the Porsche, looking one way and then the other. Now the big grunt and go power of the AMG Mercedes and some slipstream for good measure is also helping out. But now let's fight. This is back into our position, our fight for positions 1 and 2. So Rosen still, as you were, but following in the wheel tracks of race leader Drovossekov just in front of us. And this is a very, very critical moment now, because the longer that you follow the car in front, the more that you're using up your tyres, the more that you're putting pressure on your car as well. So it's a double whammy, isn't it? You want to find a way past. You don't want to take too much out of the car at this stage. And Andreas, question for you. In this position, how would you play that if you were in second position? Do you hold on and see if an opportunity presents itself, or you go for it?
You know what I'm thinking is that maybe that Rosen has the same strategy maybe as Attila Dinner, because he told me that his strategy is to follow the first and then try to win the race. But for me, it's also driving this bumpy driving. It's just like you need to have a reaction time that is, I don't know. It's awesome to see how they managed this. So
someone going off there. Big package of cars around P20, P21 there. And that must have been Luca Wüttrich going a bit wide in the Hatzenbach area then. But things are back in order, back in the train, going up to the famous Flugplatz, one of the 2 jumping opportunities on the Nordschleife where the car literally loses a bit of contact to the ground. Roland Zen, one of the fan favorites from the chat, bit of time for himself, you could say, on the track. He's got a bit of a gap to the front, bit of a gap to the back, so really got to focus, push, and catch up to the guy ahead now, as we see him really calmly navigating the car.
And you know, actually, you've kind of answered the question I was just going to ask you. Isn't it remarkable to see how calm some of these drivers are? Calm both in terms of how much input they're putting into the wheel, but also just an expression on their faces as well. Anybody who's normal when it comes to not e-sport drivers like myself and probably Andreas as well, we would sort of be clenching our teeth and holding onto the wheel tight in a concentration face.
Sweating.
Yeah, these guys, it's just like they sat watching the favorite show on television. It's a lovely moment for them. It's like, how is that, Leo? Is that just a mentality, or does that come with experience and confidence?
Or you know that you will be filmed.
Yeah, also
or
true.
Zoom is on.
Exactly.
I think it's a lot of concentration, really. You don't, if you focus on performing on track, there is not a lot of space in your head to do other stuff. You really need to put all assets you have together and focus and bring them onto the track. And also, I think Bruno Spengler mentioned it in the podcast or something, that sim racing actually, because you don't have the physical movement of the car, because there is not really a lot of stuff distracting you. You have to. You can and you have to put 100% of your focus on track. That's also what makes it a bit more demanding mentally in that sense to real racing. Obviously not in always, but in that kind of sense, sim racing really is a demanding e-sport.
Yeah, absolutely. We just saw a little lock up there from Yaroslav Dmitriev down in the low 20s as we're going back once again to Yuval Rosen, second position, a little bit further away on this occasion from our race leader Drovossekov in first place. But again, that's more about the racetrack and the according defence. And there we go, he loses. Rosen loses the rear of the car, spins it around, contact with the barrier. He's got to be cautious now on the rejoin, make sure he doesn't collect one of his rivals, but that is a massive disaster for Rosen. Second position, down in the 7th, almost collects one of the AMG Mercedes as well, for good measure, and there is damage on that Porsche, but more to the point, he will be kicking himself for that simple mistake.
You can see the emotion. Yeah. Oh, he's furious.
How do you recover, Leo? How do you recover? I'm sure you've never made a mistake, sir, in your career. Imagine that you did. How do you recover so quickly in the heat of a race after that?
I've done way too many of them, to be honest. But yeah, honestly, there is no time to kind of get back your composure. thing you have to do is really try to find your mental way back onto the track. If not, if that thought of you spinning there keeps being in your head, you have a problem for the next couple of minutes. 41 is still left. But the interesting dynamic that I just wanted to mention before Yuval spun is I was checking the delta times on our screen here, and I saw that Eva Nicola at front was losing a bit of time now, because Leonard Kat, who was over a second away from Yuval Rosen before, he was catching up until that corner. So either the Audi is a bit stronger in the first part of the track, or Porsche, or in that case Cody, might not be the car, might be a setup issue, starting to struggle a bit. So that's also a point we have to keep an eye on, that kind of the dynamic of the race changes with car balance and stuff developing over the time of the race.
You're talking about setup and car balance touches on a good point. For this grand final, setups are open for these drivers, aren't they? So
exactly.
What does that mean? What can you change? How will that impact what goes on in the terms of the balance and the life of the car?
Like similar to a lot of other sims into real life, you can change a lot of stuff on the suspension, so dampers, springs, ARBs. Adding to that, obviously aerodynamics, the rear wing, which is a big topic down here in the back straight. Ride height, for example, is also affected, differential, traction control settings. So overall, on this track, I would prefer a package that's really performing well, as Yuval is making up some ground, going back into 6th position. I would really prefer a package that's really performing well on the fast parts of the track, especially because your only overtaking opportunity will be the Dettinger and some of the smaller overtaking opportunities in case the opponent makes a mistake. Those are also high-speed sectors, so you really want to be on the fast side, top-end speed, that's where you want to be. You can kind of cope with the loss of traction in the slower parts of the circuit.
And would you be thinking, in terms of your setup, about keeping the car alive over the course of the stint? Do you want to take all the goodness from it at the beginning of the stint, or do you want it to be stronger towards the end? How would you play that one, without giving too many secrets away, of course?
I think that you actually try to have a balance. I mean, as we see, you can try to run away at the start of the race, but at the same time, people might catch up at the end of the race. Then, if your car goes down, as we see, 22 going for a bit of a fight there. Yeah, so I think a balanced approach is always the best thing. So you don't have this major drop towards the end of the race, or you lose a lot of ground at the start of the race, lose track position. You don't want to do that as well. You want to be in the mix all the race and put it together in the last couple of laps.
We've got a little bit of a fight going on here now. We're riding on board with Enzo Filippo in 12th position, trying to find a way past Georgiev just ahead. So Audi versus Audi, too wide down the back straight. This is not going to be a very nice place to be. There we go. Great driving by Georgiev just to recognise when the move has been done and allow his rival enough racing space, and that puts him under pressure now from Daniel Berker as well. So this is what we're talking about, Leo, isn't it? You lose one position, you get off track or you get off line, and then all of a sudden, like a train, everyone's passed.
And that now Foxhole also, before the fast left-hander is named Schwedenkreuz, those are parts of the track where if one of the guys doesn't flip out of the move, it's going to end in tears. And as we saw, Mr. Georgiev, he showed a bit of racing intelligence there, backing out from the move to keep his chances, but also in the same sense the chances of his opponent alive, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So 12th position is the reward at this moment in time. Daniel Berker behind in the AMG Mercedes as well. So Georgiev currently in 12th place, lost that position to Filippo just ahead. Can he find a little bit of lap time in the locker and close back up again to the Audi ahead of him, or will he get swallowed up with this nice little fight? And just at the back, you can see touching the grass there is Colin Blankenberg down in 14th position, carrying that damage, started at the head of the field. So Blankenberg recovering, but not not quite enough at this moment in time to get himself back into that top 10 position, and with it, an NGK goodie bag for his participation as well. So work still to do for these 3 cars, and this has got it's got all the hallmarks, hasn't it, as a fight that's going to continue on and on, just like this one a little bit further down. Running order, 25th position, Yaroslav Dmitriev, who we're looking at on board. Oh no, in fact, it's Peter Daniel who we're looking on board now, the Czech driver.
Yeah, and like a bit of a theme coming into this race, it's like the gaps at the front are a bit spreading out now, and as we can see around this P10, P15, P20, P26, there's still a lot of action going on. People are still packed, and that's also maybe a thing because there's a bit of a pace difference. Someone in the front is backing up the rest of the pack, and then people are trying to get past. People get stuck in a bit of a traffic jam. As we can see, there's 8 cars in one shot here in the Nordschleife, which is something you do not see too often in GT races.
Absolutely. So Daniel now looking to the outside, down in 26th place, doesn't quite have enough room to get that one done. We're back with Colin Blankenberg, and actually he has got past Georgiev. So what happened there, we didn't see on the screen, but Blankenberg was in 14th position, now moves himself up into P13. So the charge continues to recover from that early bit of drama that we noted at the beginning of the race. And next man up the road is Daniel Berker, the Austrian driver, in 12th position. So Blankenberg still has a little bit of time left on his hands, not quite the halfway mark. And Andreas, we've had 25 minutes just under of racing so far. Meeting your expectations, sir, for a grand finale?
Absolutely. I'm just checking on Rosen, and he's now on 5th place. I think he was on 7th place, but he's fighting his way back. Something that I really like to watch. And yeah, I think Cody is at the top, and he's, as you said at the beginning, Leo, he's just making a little bit distance between him and the 2nd place, and he's trying to get him more distance done, and he's really good on the track. And but as we said at the beginning, if you need to go to your absolutely limit, but if you overtake as Rosen did, sometimes happens, then you slip away, and then some places are gone. And but it's absolutely meet my expectations for the grand final here in the Nordschleife.
Now that you mentioned the gap between Latkovsky and Carton, because I was checking the timing screens here the last couple of seconds, I think that Carton had a bit of a mistake or something in his last lap. The lap before was a 35.0, and now he's got Julian Kunze right up his back, who was over a second slower the lap before. So I'm sure that there was something that happened, and also that top speed difference seems a bit over the top. I don't know, maybe has damaged his car or something?
It's all too easy for Kunze down the straight, even with the slipstream, wasn't it? So Carton, maybe in a little bit of trouble at this stage in the race, was in the fight for the race victory, now drops himself down to 3rd position. We'll keep our eye on that one as it unfolds to see if Julian Kunze manages to pull away, or if Carton can get back in contention. But that's a frustration, isn't it, the Audi driver?
Let's see what the timing sheet says now that the cross start finish. Carton seems to have had an invalid lap, which means he was off track at some part, which would make sense with him losing that much time. But also because you mentioned Colin Blankenberg making that good recovery this lap. The lap before he was over 2 seconds quicker than Georgiev and Berka, so he's on a mission right now. His pace hasn't suffered, and racing action is also not suffering here around P20. They're going 3 wide into Tiergarten.
That's just like getting a handful of stones and throwing them in water. They're just everywhere, aren't they? That must be so incredibly difficult for a driver to keep an eye on where all your rivals are on the racetrack, while making sure you don't go bouncing into some walls as well. And at this moment in time, the Mercedes holds on at the front of the field in 20th position. But these guys need to temper this enthusiasm, I think, Leo, at this moment in time, because this has got Tiri Cray written all over it.
Almost lost the reader. But what I think is incredible, like, even though this is the Nordschleife and no margin for error, there is no barely any, like, we haven't seen any crashes on screen so far. I don't want to curse it. I hope commentators curse, fingers crossed, but it's been a really clean race so far. That's what's really popping into my eye here.
Well, I was thinking about how many times if I were in the race I will be overtaken.
Mariusz Zabdyr
Oh,
off the track, and that's a high-speed part, so as we can see the rear wing is a bit damaged, you could say. Let's hope
That's
he
a
can.
very bent car, isn't it?
Let's hope he can get back up the pace, but the rear wing definitely doesn't. Oh yeah, the rear is really loose, so probably loss of downforce there, and he will be struggling to keep the car on track here and maybe get a repair stop in.
Yeah, that's a real shame for Mariusz there. He was running in contention for a top 10 position, so shall we say. But obviously a mistake somewhere around the lap has led to hard contact with something that is immovable, and sadly the Audi is the car that paid the price. So hopefully, as you say, he can use these next few corners just to understand where the car is currently, how safe or not it is to continue without making a repair. But sadly, in terms of the important positions, whoa, we lose the rear end there. Something's very unbalanced at the back of the car, and very lucky in fact not to collect any of the remaining field.
Yeah, he gets off the track. Yeah, as we've mentioned, the rear wing was probably extremely damaged, and that's why his rear was so loose coming out of Arenberg going down Foxhole. So probably that was also the issue here into Metzgersfeld. As we can see, Leonard Carton is not backing off of the rear of Julian Kunze. He's sticking to the rear end of the AMG Mercedes. And I'm curious to see if both of the two will keep fighting, or if they will work together kind of to close up the gap to Cody, because if they keep fighting the gap from Cody to Julian already, so it's at 3.8 seconds, so more fighting might mean the end to their hopes at an overall victory here.
Yeah, that's a substantial gap to try and overcome, but it's reassuring to see that Carton, whatever the dramas were the lap previous, seem to have gone away now, and that Audi is very firmly back on pace once again. Julian Kunze just ahead, so that's a fight that's going to keep charging on, but 3.7 seconds is still the gap, and that is a big ask if you're racing, as you say, solo. But if they can work together, do a little bit of bump drafting, share the slipstream over these long straights here at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and there is a chance within the course of the next 29.5 minutes they can get back in contention. But you're a race driver, Leo. You don't work together, you see a position, you go take it, don't you?
Normally, but if there's a chance to work together to get a chance at the position ahead, especially if it's the overall victory, we've got a weekend at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, a 24-hour race on the line here, so I wouldn't mind working together with someone to at least have a shot at that on track. Leonard Carton, also someone who's been in esports competitions for a bit of time now, one of the younger guys who's really been making a name for himself, and like I think he's one of the guys who really needs one of these bigger success moments to really unlock the next level, you could say. Something like push your confidence. That's also a big part here, not just in real racing where you need the confidence on your ability in the car. It's the same here in sim racing. If you know you can do it, you can do it again and again and over again.
I was thinking about Leonard Carton and Julian Kunze are also at the Hungaroring first finishers, so maybe they get used to each other.
A little bit of
know
experience.
what the other one, what they can expect from the other one. Yeah.
That's actually a factor. Like over time, if you race the same competitors over and over again, you kind of know what to expect from them. You know, is he like more of a reserve driver who takes his chances if they are there, or is it someone who will use the baseball bat and bash open the door if there is one. So you kind of get to know the people who are around on track if you race them regularly. As we look further back in the field at Rokus to be, who's defending P20 into the Brinchen area right now.
That's actually Petter Daniel that we see in 21st place. Just gets the job done, steals up the inside. A little bit of grass for good measure as well. The gardener here at the Nordschleife will not be too keen to see slick tyres running over the grass, but it did the job very nicely indeed. Thank you very much for Petter Daniel up into 20th position. And now, once again, Leonard Carton in the Audi, not struggling for straight line speed anymore, but doesn't have The legs on the big grunt and go AMG Mercedes in front, even with a slipstream. That Audi just missing those last couple of miles per hour in order to get alongside. So this is really difficult now. If you are Leonard Carton in third position, you can't rely on the draft past on the straights. You're going to have to get this one done in the twisties, and that is a whole bunch of extra risk that you've got to throw on the table, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm wondering right now if, as we see, Georgiev once again, he's really been in the middle of the action today. I wonder if he's still struggling with the rear wing. I hope he can keep the car on track now, but it looks like he's behind Kilian Kruid. Göttinger Höhe, but also doesn't seem to make the pass into the Tigard Hohenrhein chicane area. Moves out of the slipstream, but no chance really. I'm wondering if Carton really was lifting a bit to stay behind Kunze, or if that was his maximum top speed. Because if that was his maximum top speed, he's in big trouble now. He will barely have a chance to get Kunze, but really my feeling is that he's, I know that he's a smart driver, and my feeling is that he maybe was lifting a bit, so to not cause any tension, to not cause also Kunze the feeling you're safe, I'm not attacking you, we're staying behind on purpose.
And I think that's quite an important message to give to your rival. If you do want to work together, you want to give them confidence to not slam the door shut, to say, yes, let's work together for a lap or two, let's see if we can do something about that gap in front. But at the moment, 3.9 seconds is the deficit to our race leader, so whatever they're doing is not working to close the gap down yet. But as we enter the second half of this race, this is when we're talking about setups, isn't it? And developing the car to come alive over the course of the stint. As you start to burn off fuel with Porsche, we know, becomes a little bit spicy, I think it's fair to say, when it's running light on fuel. That changes the balance as well. So all these aspects come together, and what we've seen up to now, all the notes that we've taken in this first 35 minutes of racing, very easily they're thrown away. The balance and the racetrack changes as the race progresses.
Yeah, especially that now that I saw on the timing screens that Carton was actually matching Latkovsky last lap. Kunze wasn't, so I'm pretty sure Carton could go faster, but right now he's in the weird spot. If he wants to go past, he starts fighting, he starts losing time. Kunze isn't faster than Latkovsky as well, so struggling to close the gap, so he's in a bit of a weird situation now with 25 minutes. That might still sound like a lot of time, but with this level of competition, this level of driving, I think it's going to be hard to close a gap now if something decisive doesn't happen within the next couple of corners.
If something happens, as we learned, then maybe the race is open again.
Something might always happen.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I was going to say to you. We've already seen it at the front of the field, Andreas, haven't we? That one small mistake, even on your own, even under no attack from those around you, can very quickly make a good position to a very, very poor position. So although Latkovsky has a comfortable lead, one snatch of a break from too deep, one attack of a curb too hard, one ever so slightly enthusiastic press of the loud pedal, you could be talking to Armco barrier very quickly indeed, can't you?
Yeah. Someone who is really eager to not make a mistake now is Sinan Gunay. Right behind Mihai Nek, both also veteran names in the RaceRoom Esports. Sinan Gunay, I remember raced with him in the Remus GT3 Championship. They're both really fast drivers, and as we can see, they're going head to head. Both green AMG Mercedes. Going up the hill, but now is not the time for an overtake, I think. He's going to wait for the right opportunity in one of the later parts of the track and look for a decisive move there.
That, gentleman, is the definition of a commentator's nightmare. Two exactly liveried cars in close competition with each other. So hopefully something changes soon and there's a little bit of breathing space between these two to make our job a little bit easier as we're riding on board the back of the 6th position car. Michal Neg currently holds that position. Behind you can see Sinan Gunay in 7th place, trying to find a way past it. Again, so difficult, chaps. Exactly the same car. The only difference is how you tread it over the course of this race and the setup you have got on it. And Andreas, question to you: if you were racing would you want to be racing against the same mark that you're driving so you know what you're up against? Or would you want to be racing against something different and use that opportunity to assess where the strengths and weaknesses are?
I would say I would try it out really to have something else. So I would try it out, yeah. But as you said, maybe you don't know how the setup of the other car is, and this is something that would be very interesting. And maybe you learn what the other guy is doing to his car as you are following him, or yeah, maybe in the front. Then you know how he changes setup, and if you pick up your own setup the best, then you will find out on the Nordschleife.
As we've seen last year, even same cars can have very different setups, very different strengths and weaknesses. And putting a different mix of cars just multiplies that really.
And of course, Leo, it may be just a singular driver in the cockpit for this next 60 minutes, but it's a whole team effort behind them as well, isn't it? So it's not just one person going out there doing it for yourself. Tell me a little bit, because obviously you're part of Zabdyr Esports. Going into a race like this, what kind of support network do you have around you? How does it work for an event of this calibre, entering the race in terms of the prep, the setup? Oh, hello, we've got a little bit of contact there as BC goes and says hello to the barriers, but a light touch, a little wiggle, just to make sure things are going in the right direction. But back to my question, Leo, if I can, please.
Yeah, for example, Grizy's driving for MT Racing, just like Sebastian Reh, who's also in the race. I think they also picked the same car, if I'm right. Yeah, now Reh picked the AMG Mercedes and Grizy the Audi, but normally, as Rosen is close to Söhnel, trying to get an advantage on the top speed, but can't really make it stick around the outside.
He's really fighting.
Yeah, he will have to line up again and go for another try next lap as we are about to cross the finish line once again with 10 minutes left. Yeah, if you have teammates, there's obviously two factors. On the one hand, you exchange information. You know how fast your teammate is, which might help you if you're struggling in one part of the track. You will find out at that point. So you can work on kind of your weaknesses, driving-wise, but also setup-wise. If you have two different cars, it might be difficult to help each other out. But for example, if two drivers of the same team pick an AMG Mercedes, as Daniel goes for a lick down Döttinger, but also has to back out of it. If two drivers of the same team pick the same car, you obviously can work together on the setup. For a race like this where you have a few weeks of time before the race actually starts, especially in sim racing where you've got unlimited testing time, you can put in so much work. I can remember for DTM Esports we put in hours and hours if the time was there. So and working as a team of two, you always have the option to try different stuff at the same time, which really speeds up the working process. You get different ideas from other drivers who maybe have a different approach. So that really helps. For longer races, you might even need a race engineer. Like right here, it's pretty straightforward. You don't have pit stops, no refueling, no new tires. But for endurance races, you might actually need racing engineers.
I think some of them are also interested of what Cody has for a setup. This is very interesting because it's a big gap. It's just going ahead and just being at the top.
Gents, this is an interesting fight. So Rosen has got himself up into fourth position. That is the red Porsche that you see. We're looking through the windshield now of Nico Söhnel at the moment. So Rosen, bit between the teeth, after that bit of drama that we saw earlier on, he's not let it get to him. He's not let it get his head down. He's absolutely on fire. So really, really good performance, making up for that mistake for Yuval Rosen at this moment in time. And does he have enough? 16 seconds he needs to find. So really, podium is completely out of the picture unless mitigating circumstances come in. this will be good for his confidence. This will be good for his head, won't it, to know that he can recover. And let's not forget, this is a one-off race for prizes today. Make no mistake, esports people are watching this race, and you must perform because opportunities will come if you keep putting in these good performances, won't they?
Definitely, you always want to present yourself on the best side. And I think Yuval, even though the gap to the front is now at 17 seconds with his quite the margin with 17 minutes left, going to be tough for him to close that gap, but also slicing through the field like he just did, that's a really good feeling. That's really pushing your confidence. You know, I think you came back on track in P10, P9. You know, you just literally went 1 or 2 seconds faster a lap than 4 or 5 drivers, and that's something that's really pushing your mentality.
Let's take nothing away from Nico Söhnel either. He is driving very, very well. Finished third in the third round of the championships. He got himself his automatic qualification here to this grand finale, and not associated with the team, so racing for himself in this event. It's a very respectable, very strong performance, as we're looking once again at Petter Daniel in 18th position. So Petter's making his way up through the field as well. He was 20th, I believe, last time we checked in with the AMG Mercedes driver. Next up the list is this man, Luke, currently in 17th place, but under all the pressure in the world. Can he hold on for the next 15 minutes and 47 seconds? I think that Mercedes has got a thing or two to say about that.
And the two of them, they have quite some space to the front, about 20 seconds until Georgi Georgiev, and 6 to 7 seconds behind Rokas to be. So they have all the time and space in the world to find out who's faster and the better of the two.
You know what it's like. Give a little bit of a comfort blanket to a driver, and they kind of almost go out of their way to ruin that for themselves and have a little bit of unnecessary contact. So we'll keep our eye on this battle as it continues to unfold here on the Nürburgring Nordschleife for the NGK Sparkplug Esports Championship Grand Finale. Make sure you drop us a line on our YouTube feed here on the RaceRoom Racing Experience YouTube channel, the NGK Sparkplug YouTube channel, and of course the RaceRoom Facebook page as well. We'll do our best to give you a shout out if you drop us a question in. We'll try and answer them over the course of the next 14 minutes and change. And of course, hashtag Ignitethetrack to follow the conversation on social media for all the news, drama and feedback from what has been a sensational race. So, just under quarter of an hour left. Leo, has this one unfolded so far as you expected it as the resident RaceRoom expert? Is it unfolded as you anticipated, knowing what to do about these drivers and their respective experience?
Yeah, I think so. In the end, really, the veteran guys, the experienced esports drivers, top 3, all of them, those were the 3 I would have picked for top 3 results. As Carton is right up the back of Kunze, but once again, holding back. I think we will find out last lap if he was holding back or not. I think by now it's too late to push for the lead now, so I guess Leonard's playing the long game here.
This is something I like to ask you. When will he start to attack? Maybe only will he attack only at the last lap, or
maybe second to last?
Strategy thing, I
As
think.
we've seen last year with Attila, he attacked second to last lap because he knew he had the top speed advantage. So it's really, we can't tell right now because we don't have the information these guys have in that regard. But yeah, so it's really, in this case, you can see the top 5 are all really experienced drivers who've shown themselves in multiple competitions. Yuval is someone who's a bit new to the competitions, and the NAG, for example, but you also see that maybe with a bit more experience, a mistake like that wouldn't have happened. I mean, I'm sure he is super frustrated and super eager to make his mistake right in the next race, but he will learn from that and he will come back, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Carton now is as close as we've seen him at this part of the racetrack. The Audi trying desperately to fill the mirrors of the Mercedes ahead. What he really, really needs is for Kunze to make a mistake to give him an easy overtake. But Kunze's been around so long in the RaceRoom racing experience world. Mistakes don't come very often indeed. In fact, look how calm he is. just a nice, easy day playing European Truck Simulator. We're not rushing. We're just having a nice, steady, drop my payload off somewhere in Europe. It's not racing around the green hell in a GT3 car, and that just goes to show how comfortable he is in his own performance, in his own car, in his own situation. And I fear it's going to take something very special indeed for Leonard Carton to find a way past. And
he was going through the foxhole like he was driving on the autobahn.
Exactly, nice, and he found it probably easier than the autobahn, the way he was looking behind the wheel, just so serene, I think is a good way to put it. But
This Gunay and Söhnel are catching up to Nick, still fighting.
what do you do?
Going wide there, Nick. That's not the racing line you want to have for Adenauer Boston now. It's really getting a bit chaotic up to Metzgersfeld here.
Is this tyres starting to wear off now? Is this the car starting to fall away from the optimal balance? do you
It might
think?
actually be the case now. 50 minutes like RaceRoom isn't that hard on tires, but with that distance we have here, it might actually be the case that you have some really recognizable differences in car balance, especially understeer-wise, which would also explain why he went wide into the left-hander and Adenauer Foster.
And it's easier, of course, being the chaser rather than the defender, isn't it? Because
Always.
you can watch what your rival's doing. And Andreas, question for you on that one. What would you rather be in this situation? The guy at the front defending or the attacker?
This is exactly the question that I want to ask you. But I think I would be the guy who's fighting behind, so waiting and then finding the gap and then just overtaking. So for me, it's just like being behind and just checking and waiting for the right moment and then passing by.
Yeah.
Same question to you, Leo. What's your preference?
I always prefer attacking. Like you can, especially maybe not on the Nordschleife, but on most track, you can also get creative with the overtaking. It's like you kind of see a pattern in the movements of your opponent. You can see, is he leaving a bit of a gap where he's braking? Maybe I can abuse that to launch an inside maneuver next lap or something. So I really like the part of observing and then trying my luck, getting the chance to go down the inside or outside. And as mentioned in the chat, people can't wait for the Nürburgring 24. I'm sure the winner of this race also won't be waiting for it, because he will be going to it. VIP tickets. Söhnel gets really nervous on the rear there. Yeah, VIP tickets, SX Lounge, 24 hours Nürburgring for the winner of this race, which is an incredible price. Something money can't buy.
Yeah, and that's the key, isn't it? It is something that money can't buy. It's an experience that you will, as a race car fan, as a motor racing fan, it is something that you will remember the rest of your days. And we got a taste of that one with Attila, his video we saw in the build-up to the show. But it's really, I mean, Andreas, again, you were there as part of that video. Tell us a little bit about what a potential winner would be like to experience with that prize, if you can, please.
So I need to say I was at the Nürburgrings also starting with, I was 18 years old camping there. So this is something that I have in mind, so driving with my own car there. But what you have to, the experience now is totally different. You were in the lounge, in the SX lounge. You get something to eat, something to drink. You can go to the hotel, have a rest coming back, having a walk through the through the paddock. It's a great experience. So it's as comfortable as it can be to be at the 24-hour race, to be in a lounge. You have access to something to eat, something to drink. You can enjoy all the time. And yeah, as I said, having a rest, maybe 1 or 2 hours coming back, watching the race. And I always need to say, it's so nice if the race starts, if the sun is going down, and you see the brakes glowing, and what also to have a look at the track, what the people are creating there. Like campsites and fireworks, and so many people are enjoying, and you see the petrol heads and racing fans over there. And it's also part every time for me to go also to the campsite. I know if you have the opportunity to go to the lounge, it's cool, but also to have a look at the real campsite and walk around and seeing all the crazy people all the crazy people and
Martin.
all the petrol heads. Yeah.
Martin's still holding back here, so
Okay.
we will have 2 more laps. So a lap is about 6 minutes and 35. That was the last lap of Cody Nikola Latkovsky, so he crossed the line before 7 minutes. That means we'll have 2 more laps. So from here on, it will get really interesting. But as you mentioned, Andreas, nothing matches Nürburgring Nordschleife 24 hours when it comes to atmosphere and stuff like that. I think
Absolutely.
especially coming from Germany, like for someone who's into motorsports,
You need to go there.
you need to go
Sure,
there.
yeah.
It's a must-have, and the experience to go there, have VIP tickets, go there for free. That's something like some small kids dream of, really.
Yeah, absolutely making memories, and they cannot put a price on that kind of thing. Experiences are what make life such a rich tapestry. As we see someone there jumping, is that
Enzo.
Filippo jumping down pit lane? So maybe there's a little bit of drama. Does he make contact with the barriers? Is he bailing out of this one? Just
Maybe.
on the outside of the top 11. So real shocker there in the final couple of laps.
Maybe because it's a bit close with time, I don't know. Maybe people miscalculate fuel. That might actually be the case.
You had this last time, yeah.
If
Yeah.
Cody is going much faster than people expected. And I know that with this kind of lap time, it gets close towards the end, 6.5 minute lap time. It might be the case that there was just a tiny miscalculation.
And that's exactly as we were speaking about right at the very top of the show, isn't it? Will these cars have enough capacity to do a 60-minute flat chat stint? Of course, no safety cars, no virtual safety cars, full course cautions, all mandated pit stops. We've seen Söhnel now on the attack. There we go, the Mercedes and the Audi, and Söhnel drops down into 6th position. So that's Gunay moves himself up one, so a little bit of a mover and a shaker towards the final, the dying moments of this race. And Söhnel will be getting himself back firmly in the slipstream, tries to stay with the Mercedes through these next few corners, but we've seen this, Leo, time and time again. That Audi just does not have quite the straight line speed of their rivals, and it's making life people like Nico Söhnel just a little bit more difficult than it needs to be stage in the third motor race.
As we from one AMG and Audi to another one, with different colors this time around. Martin is still following Julian Kunze really closely, going through the Versailles part of the track as we head back to Söhnel and Gunay. And yeah, it seems to be a bit of the theme of the evening that the Audi might be lacking a bit in terms of straight line speed. Maybe having a bit of the stronger sides at the start of the track, in this part especially. Fast corners, slow corners, maybe traction zones. Obviously, depending on what the guys tuned on their car, this top end speed might not be where it is for the Audi today.
You surmised earlier in the race that Leonard Carter maybe will hold on to the final couple of laps to make his move. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls at home, we are at that final couple of lap stages here in the NGK Sparkplug Esports Championship Grand Finale. And can Leonard Carter in the green Audi that you see at the back of your shot do anything about the AMG Mercedes ahead? Time is rapidly running down on the clock to make a move happen, and it's going to be critical moments. I'm going to look in my crystal ball, chaps, and I'm going to say in 2024 this will be the highlights video that we look back at in the grand finale, because this has got a golden race written all over it in these final few
I
moments.
really hope so. But I'm sure both of them, as soon as they know it's go time, they will put on a show, I'm sure. It's going to be interesting this time around on the Döttinger. It's going to be interesting to see how Carton will play things out. If he will wait for next lap to get the overtake on the Döttinger, or if he will take position this lap and then try to defend next time around.
So, what would you rather do? Is it wise just to get the deal done whenever you can and maybe try and get an advantage, or do you hold on to the Döttinger and then if you don't get it done, it's game over?
He's trying to stick down inside, going towards Moon. He was so close, barely with a piece of paper in between the both of them.
And this is the car that we saw in pit lane not a lap
Exactly.
ago, so Filippo's not lost. as much time as I thought he would have done. So either that, could it even simply been a case of bit of oversteer, pit lane entry.
I don't think so. Probably just 2 or 3 liters of fuel and he's good to go. Maybe just a tiny miscalculation that cost him basically drive through here. But yeah, as we said earlier, it really depends if Carton how confident he is in his car setup. If he knows I got Kunze on top speed all day, he will go past next lap. It's really just a strategic decision for him to take, and we can't really communicate with him. We can't find out until we see what's happening.
Yeah, very brave. Whatever the answer is at the end of this race in the next minute and 50 seconds plus change, it'll be a brave move, whatever ends up being called by our top 2. By the way, into the final minutes, 10.5 seconds is the gap at the front of the field. So Lukowski is our race leader from Julian Kunze, just about from Leonard Carton in 2nd and 3rd position. Yuval Rosen having a quieter time of it now, 6.3 seconds to the good in 4th place ahead of Mikhail Neg. In 6th position, Sinan Gunay ahead of Nico. Söhnel in 7th place. Steph Kramer's in position 8.
Just saw some great fighting into the Brinchin area by Filippo and Wade. Really going door to door there, which is not norm, which is not something you see every day. Going GT3s, going in there side by side. There's really some exceptional stuff. And Cart, he's staying behind. We're already past the parking lot for the tourist drives now, so he won't launch an attack this lap. So it will all boil down to what's going to happen in 6 minutes and 30 seconds. I can't wait.
Andreas, who's your money on between 2nd and 3rd position, Kunze or Carton?
It's very hard.
Carton, you just went past. You just went past.
So there we go.
It's a box.
Oh, another bit of drama
it's
with
a fuel issue.
Fuel.
I'm certain it's a fuel issue.
So this is exactly what we said at the start of the show. It's going to be marginal on fuel, and look at that. Final lap, in you go. This is big drama here at the Nordschleife for Steph Kramer's as well, who we're looking at now in 8th position. I think he made a move as well or lost a position. We'll look at that one in a minute. But where does Julian Kunze come back out on track? 3rd place at this moment in time, according to my timing screen. So Rosen not close enough to take advantage. Yet more frustration that mistake has cost him.
More people are coming into the pits. Nico Söhnel's into the pits. So
is it the Porsches or?
No, Kunze is in the AMG, Söhnel in the Audi. We saw another Audi early on. So I'm sure people just weren't expecting the pace to be this fast and just underfueled. I'm sure. I can't imagine another explanation, especially because Kunze just took a tiny stop, like 2 or 3 seconds. Probably just 5 liters of fuel or something. And that shows how tiny the margin is.
Nürburgring is the guy with the damage car, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Colin, he's making his way up again.
It's a gift that keeps on giving this race, gents. Now as we're down into basically overtime, so we're waiting to finish what will be the final lap of a 60-minute race. Big question, does Cody Nikola Otovsky have enough fuel in his car? We've seen people, it's too late now, we're past pit entry, so you've got luckily he's got 16 seconds away from Carton, so he can afford a bit of lift and coast, and he can afford to be a little bit conservative if he's running marginal. But this is the longest we've seen him on screen. This has been a dominant performance from the Portugal.
Yeah, he really.
Sometimes at the 24-hour race, some other racers are bringing the cars back to the if they're getting crashed or something, but I don't think somebody will do this to Cody.
As Mr. Feldhead in the YouTube chat said, it's never over till it's over. And but as you mentioned, I think Cody has got plenty of space to play with now. He's got all the time in the world to save fuel, as long as he's paying attention to his fuel level. I think I don't want to jinx it, but if he doesn't do a mistake now, this race is his. And after his performance last year, where the win was ripped out of his hands last second, this is really a bit of a redemption arc for him. And also Carton, I think. Also Carton, the gap of Leonard Carton is huge from Latkowski. And Kunze catch caught up a lot, so I'm not too sure if things are said and done yet.
I think We'll find out when the checkered flag waves, because as you say, Carton is hemorrhaging lap time at this moment in time as we see Philip Powell just get a little bit squirrely through one of the corners, 12th position, holds on to that 12th position, so not under pressure at this moment in time, covers the inside line, gets the run off the turn, does the Audi, and holds on to that 12th position. But Carton, Leonard Carton, dropping 21.4. I looked a few moments ago, that was 20 seconds. So is Carton nursing the car to the checkered flag? 4.5 seconds he is ahead of Julian Kunze behind. So Carton not over yet, 22 seconds now behind our race leader.
I'm trying to track his eye movement. Is he always looking down? Because that's
possibly so.
That's why the fuel. He's also. This sounds like a bit lower revs to me.
Short shifting, not quite as aggressive on the throttle pedal.
He's definitely saving fuel.
Oh,
yeah, he's braking very early. He's in trouble.
Oh, this could be. Oh no,
this doesn't help as well. I hope. Oh, this is going down to the wire, ladies and gentlemen.
I can actually feel the hairs on my arm are sticking up a little bit now.
And right in the mirror, Julian Kunze is coming back. He probably was desperate and frustrated.
Yeah, so this is not over for second and third position. We're looking back now from Julian Kunze in third place, 3 seconds just under away from Leonard Carton ahead of him. So this is all on the second position. 60 minutes of racing comes down to the final few corners. The second and third position, Cody Nicola Latonske out front of the field, is stroking away with things now. 24 seconds to the good. The battle is who will come on the second step of the podium, and Kunze now can see his rival in front. I've got a feeling this is Julian Kunze's for the taking. If he can just keep pushing, will Carton not hold on to second position, but actually the question is, will he make it to the flag?
I'm sure he will make it. As mentioned in chat, Lucas Vollering,
as hard as he wants.
Lucas Vollering, one of the drivers who retired his car, he just mentioned all Audis and Mercs have to save a lot of fuel, and probably Kunze and Carton weren't able to save enough.
This is big drama. So just goes to show that you need to push. You need to keep your alertness right to the very end of this race. And now, if you're Julian Kunze, Leo, what do you do? What do you do? Do you make the move? Do you not know what your rival's in strife? How do you play these final few corners?
Just to risk it all, go all out.
Yeah, go all out. Depends how much you want a headset versus how much you want a steering wheel, I suppose. Depends which one you've got in your armoury already. But this is big drama, gentlemen, in the final few moments.
Whoa.
He's also into slipstream territory now. He just gained 0.8 seconds going into Schwalbenschwanz. I just hope Leonard Carton is not going to stand still before the finish line. That would break his heart definitely, and also my heart, I have to be honest. But let's see what happens on the Döttinger Höhe now.
Yeah, we've not got long left to go, but just keep an eye out that 8 seconds in arrears is Yuval Rosen as well, so he's not a million miles away if Carton suddenly has to go into coast mode. And there we see now second and third position separated by absolutely nothing, as we see Kunze goes to the inside. Does he get the deal done? Yes, he does. Whoa. Nice and easy.
And we can see Latkovsky going around the last corner, and Paul, he wins the NGK Esports Spark Club.
Fantastic stuff at the front of the field. A dominant victory for Latkovsky at the front of the field. Julian Kunze just at the final death manages to hold on to second position. A couple more corners to go. Carton now giving everything he's got in that Audi. Does he have enough into the final turn through the last corner, hard on the loud pedal, and Julian Kunze takes second position. Leonard Carton in position 3, and that, gents, was spectacular. Fantastic racing right to the checkered flag.
This is something what I need to see, what I want to see.
Yuval Rosen in 4th, Mihai Nek in 5th, and we can still see Berka and Pruitt going for it for 12th position. So even in the middle of the pack, there's still people sticking together after 60 minutes of racing on the Nordschleife.
And that actually is an incredible feat, isn't it? Because let's not forget, this is arguably the most difficult circuit in real and virtual races. We go for last contact between the two cars. The Porsche just about holds on to it, but doesn't quite get the deal done. But again into the final corner. Does he have the run? No, he doesn't. As you were across the line, 12th and 13th position, right to the very checkered flag between those two.
Berka keeping his exposure there. Wow. But what a finish.
Yeah.
Who would have imagined? Oh, people are still racing.
Fantastic.
A gift that never gives, that keeps on giving,
It
really.
really is such a large circuit, isn't it, that by the time you've come to the checkered flag, you're too busy giving out platitudes to everybody at the front of the field, but lower down, we've still got plenty of battles unfolding as we're looking now. 20th position, that is Schubeck, Lucas Schubeck in position 20. Can he hold on down the Dottingerhoe to the car behind, which is Roland Sen, a few tenths of a second, and they come to the conclusion of their race.
Pop up.
There you go, guys. Oh, take a moment to breathe. That was rather quite enjoyable, some might say.
Latkowski,
Absolutely.
Kunze and Kart in the top 3, then Yuval Rosen with a great comeback drive, Mihajnek 5th position, Sinan Gunay 6th position, also great drive from him, Steph Kramers, Colin Blankenbock, also great recovery from him, Sebastian Reh and Nico Söhnel the top 10, who will receive prizes from NGK and our partners. Then Enzo Filippo, Daniel Berger, Kilian Gullit, Lepanik, Riese, that's our top 15. And wow, I need a breath, guys. That was exciting.
Yeah, that was absolutely brilliant stuff, just like we expected coming into the show. And
Look at that.
look at that.
And I have the honor to put Cody Nikola Latkowski's name on here.
Yes, you've got your big pen. Make sure you don't smudge with said big pen while you're writing down the winners' names. And we've got a board for first, second, and third place. And of course, just to remind you, the first place prize, even get my teeth in, is those VIP tickets. And I'm hearing in my ear that we have actually got our race winner. Have a quick chat to celebrate his victory. Cody, congratulations! That was dominant. How do you feel?
Thank you. I feel very relieved considering what happened last year. Came second by the smallest of margins, and now to come here this year
Doesn't work.
and really just put it all on the line, give it everything I got, and for it to just come back to me in spades. That was, I'm very, very satisfied with the result of today.
Yeah, congratulations once again. Because setup was a big talking point today. What was your approach? Should you go for the low downforce setup with the high top speed, or were you focusing on the slower parts of the track, getting the traction, especially with the Porsche, who is really good in that parts naturally? What was your approach today?
Well, with the setup, it was more like trying to find a nice equilibrium where it wasn't being dragged too much on the straight, because Porsche inherently has bad top speed. So I was trying to maximize that, not making it too unstable. So I need to have a look at the ray, have a look at the dampers, the spring ray, make sure the car is still stable at high speed. I think I kind of got there in the end. But yeah, mostly focusing on top speed. The Porsche itself is very good in the twisty stuff, and making it comfortable enough to drive 60 minutes.
And Cody, when you're at the front of the field by such a big margin that you were, how does that affect you in terms of pressure? Because, for want of a better way of putting it, it's your race to lose in that situation. How hard is that mentally on yourself as a driver?
Well, I guess for someone that's doing this for the first time, it would be a bit of a lot more pressure than usual. But I've been through plenty of these kinds of races myself, so I've had some experience, and I know that there is something in the back of my head that's saying, okay, you need to maybe let off a little bit. Doing fine, you shouldn't keep pushing. But I've learned to kind of fight that mentality. I need to keep pushing no matter what, keep going for the next corner, because at the end of the day, if I'm not trying to beat the guy that's next to me, I'm trying to beat myself. So for me, that's how I try to become a better driver. And, once you create a gap like that and start leading, I just find, okay, get in a groove, keep pushing, and just do the best you can.
Well, you did
Really well done.
absolutely fantastic. You got a great prize, and also this very, very cool trophy indeed, which if I had room in my bag, I would steal and take on the carry home, because that's very cool. So, Cody, congratulations. Amazing performance and a richly deserved victory. Well done, man.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. And It was a very good position indeed, wasn't it? It was absolutely checked out from pole position.
Which isn't too common in racing. It was really great to see that this different level of excitement kicked in, really.
And Andreas,
as I can now,
ooh.
important stuff coming in. Second prize, a Fanatec Club Sport Formula wheel for Julian Kunze, who is ready in the interviews.
Oh, he's ready already. So bring him on through then, please.
And I would ask you, Paul.
Julian, congratulations, sir. Great race. Massive drama at the end. Tell me about that one. Did it catch you by surprise that you needed the extra bit of fuel, or all part of the strategy?
No, good evening. First of all, congrats to Nico. Amazing pace. Really, really good from him. Made the Porsche work. Yeah, last lap. It was part of the strategy. So I had two strategies. One is fuel saving and one is push as hard as I can and smash and dash in the end. Because the Mercedes is not going through with the full throttle strategy. So in the beginning, I was noticing that I was in slipstream with Leonard and could keep up the pace. I had fresh air in front of me, so I decided to use the second strategy and splash and dash in the end. It caught me by surprise that Leonard had to lift off in the last lap so much. I thought he would have been able to fuel save enough behind me in my slipstream. But yeah, so lucky for me, and strategy played out.
Yeah, congratulations also from my side. Also having raced against you before, I know you're a super experienced driver on the platform. In the middle of the race, when it kind of was you and Leonard going head to head, just the two of you, did you think it was a bit of teamwork coming in there, or did you know Leonard wasn't going to attack because he wanted to work further forward, or what was going through your mind in that part of the race?
I didn't know if Leonard is trying to attack or stay behind, but as he was the one lap behind me and just wasn't moving out of the slipstream, then it was confirmed. I thought that he wouldn't fight and head down and straight to the finish.
That's what we like to hear. Thank you very much, Julian. Congratulations again. Have fun with the Fanatec wheel.
Right, and another great performance, of course, and surrounding all the drama. But what have we got here?
Last but not least, we have a JBL Quantum 1 headset for our third place finisher, which is Leonard Carton.
Also getting one of these.
Oh, of course. Let's have a look at the trophy. Get that one up on the screen as well. We got that down, so I don't know if the camera. There we go. Camera can pick that one up. But a great little trophy, and I believe we've got Leonard available now to give us a few words about what has been a drama-filled final conclusion of the race. So, Leonard, are you there, sir? Oh, we don't quite have him yet, so you'll have to hold that board a little bit longer and do your best.
I guess people have a better chance to see it now than in the split-screen interview setting, so...
Maybe he needs a drink after this race.
Now Leonard is there. I'll hold it for a second. Have a look.
Leonard, third position, sir. Congratulations. A massively drama-filled race. Talk me through those final few moments and what happened.
Yeah, good evening, guys. I'm still, my heart rate, I think it's just still in the process of calming down. It was such a drama. I never had in my whole sim racing career such a last lap. So I was, like Julian described already, I was pretty close to him throughout the whole race pretty much. I had a couple of mistakes here and there, and that always cost me those extra tenths with which I could use to save fuel, but then I had to just use the full engine power and everything to get behind him again so I could save fuel again. And yeah, I was actually really surprised that like the whole race I was asking myself, what the hell is going on? Why can he push so hard all the time? What's his plan here? And then before the start of lap 10, he just turned into the pit, and I was like, oh, Jesus, I saw my delta. I have still a couple of liters to save. I thought, oh, man, how am I going to do this? I actually worked with pulling the clutch to just get the revs of the engine down, save those extra little drops. And then I always saw him coming closer in the timing sheets, and so much pressure in the end. Yeah, on the straight I had like 0.0 liters in the delta for fuel, and then he was so close behind me, and I thought maybe I could still defend it into the last corner and pick up second place, but it just wasn't enough. Then I decided to go the safe way. Well, I didn't really decide to go the safe way. I still was really close for the last braking, but it was by the closest of margins. If I maybe had saved 0.1 or 0.2 liters before anywhere in the race, I could have made it. It turned out this way now, but I'm really happy either way.
Yeah, great stuff. It's been mentioned that Audi and Mercedes were struggling a bit with fuel. So, is it right that your strategy really was to just adapt how the race is going fuel-wise, or did you already have the plan to go all out, push all race at the start, or what was your thought going into the race?
Yeah, that was exactly the difficult thing. In the preparation for the race, I did maybe 2 or 3 60-minute stints where I actually drove the whole race distance. And I always worked with the engine mappings, taking full power out of the corners, and then before braking, using engine mapping 1 and maybe lift and coast in a couple corners. I ended up at maybe 11 point something liters, which was just enough to finish the race. But in the race today, when things sort of settled down and I started getting into the train, I noticed that it wasn't going to be enough. I always need the full engine power to even stay behind the Porsches. And then throughout the whole race, I was just thinking over my strategy. How can I save these extra liters? And yeah.
Great stuff. Love to hear that. Congratulations again. Enjoy your headset and take a deep breath now. You deserved it.
Congratulations, Leonard. Thank you very much.
Time for a drink, I think.
Definitely.
Time for several drinks, I think, for all those drivers. So
a lot of sweat.
We said drama. We said it was going to be exciting at the beginning, and it's paid off massively. I think we've got the winners graphic coming up on screen. There we go. That is our top 3 finishers from 60 glorious minutes. I'm going to ask you both. I'm going to put you on the spot very quickly. And I'm going to start with you, Andreas, driver of the day. Who's your pick, sir?
Totally, Cody is driver for me, because he stayed at the top. He managed the fuel, and as he stated, and he stated it how he chose the setup and everything. So for me, Cody is the driver of the day. But it's more than I expected. So this is really thrilling. It's really thrilling, and just going to the box, and I was just, wow, what's happening now? But I think he's also watching at the fourth place, because he has a little gap to the fourth place, and then I think this was also part of the decision to say, okay, I can go out and come back in again and try to fight. So for me, it was more than it. It was a really great race. I love to be here and watch the race. Yeah, great. And congratulations again, also from me to all participants, and also for all the guys racing, and taking over these great prizes here, and maybe meeting also Cody the first time, maybe at the Nürburgring. Yeah,
I gotta say, Cody, man of the night. He was on a mission. Just the way, the detail he explained to us what was going through his mind, what was his approach to the race. So you can see he wasn't coming to play here, and it definitely paid off. And it was something great to witness, I have to say.
I think for me, the driver of the day is drivers of the day, and that's the entire field. They're keeping it clean, keeping it fair, keeping it respectful, and putting on
precious.
a sensational show for us in the studio, for everybody watching at home. And actually on that topic, for everybody watching at home, thank you for tuning in to this broadcast. Thank you for being part of the community over the course of this NGK Sparkplug Esports Championship. It's been an absolute pleasure to take part in today's broadcast. I can't take credit for any of the other ones, but I was there in spirit, of course. A massive, massive thank you to NGK for being a part of this championship, to RaceRoom Racing Experience, of course, which is a great simulation on the platform that we use for this championship, to JBL, Fanatec, Traction, and of course SX, all for being part of what has been an outstanding series. And don't forget, hashtag Ignitethetrack on social media to stay attuned to any news, any information that comes after the course of this race. And the last people I did say thank you to are you two gentlemen for being with me, alongside me, guiding me through what has been a fabulous evening here in Munich. So, Andreas, thank you very much. And Leo as well, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I hope we will meet again next year. Same time, same place.
For sure, for sure. So, late folks at home, thank you all very much. And from us here in the studio, we hope you've enjoyed the show. And until next time, we'll see you all later. And bye-bye.
Bye.